Welcome to the Reducing Insurance Journal, Negotiating with Insurance Edition. This is a weekly e-journal brought directly to your inbox. To subscribe, visit ridjournal.com. In today's issue, we are going to explore the topic, how to build leverage before negotiating. You can also listen to us as a podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast tool. If you like video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, RID Journal. I am Naren Arulraja, your host for today's edition. Let's jump in. My guest today is my dear friend, Ben Tuine. Hey, Ben, how are you doing today?
Hey, Naren, I'm very well. Thank you. Looking forward to chatting about this. So this is sort of my area. The way you are with marketing, I can talk about negotiating fees all day long, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Absolutely. I mean, you know so much about this topic, Ben. It's crazy. Like, I've talked to so many clients of yours, and they're like, if anybody knows more than that's Ben, they should learn from Ben. You are like the god of this topic of negotiating with insurance companies.
Oh, thank you.
And I love today's topic, Ben, because, when you have leverage, you now can negotiate, because you can't negotiate from weakness, right? So I love the way your brain is thinking. You are like, before you even think about negotiating, start creating some leverage, because now this massive company worth billions of dollars have, a reason to talk to you, a reason to take you seriously, a reason to listen to you. Without that reason, that leverage, you're dead. So,
yes.
So does it come easily for the average practice?
That's a great question.
Leverage. Yeah. Leverage. Is it easy to create?
No, yeah, that's an excellent question. I guess you could look at it from the perspective of, when was the last time you as an individual purchased a house, a car, were courting somebody, right? Or engaging in a type of activity where you were trying to acquire something, right? Did leverage come easy at that point? Were there failures involved? And, what arguments did you use to knock down that price on that vehicle that you're trying to purchase? When it comes to negotiating with insurance companies as a doctor, it's even more complex in terms of the whole world of building leverage. So the quick answer to that question is no, it's not easy to build leverage for the average dental practice, where you really have to do a lot of digging, researching, and understanding of your unique situation, your area, how many other doctors are even in network with the same plan, where do your fees sort of stack up against the community, or at least the community of dentists that are in your area. Very difficult. And of course, there's a borderline illegal clause there that I'll put out. If you're trying to measure PPO fees, right, what your in-network allowances or fees are, you can't just talk to your doctors next door and get copies of their PPO fees. Number one, because you're violating your confidentiality agreements with the insurance plans by having those discussions. But number two, it's against the law, right, for you to get together and talk about fees. So how do you really effectively assess your situation to find negotiating arguments? And there's no easy answer. Everybody's situation is unique, and there are individual components to how you practice, to where you practice, to where your fees are, to who you participate with. There's so many different things that you have to consider to create a solid argument that addresses the question, how, I as an insurance company, how can I be convinced to offer this doctor a higher fee schedule, right? And a lot of times it's not a willing thing for the insurance companies just to say, yeah, I'll give you a fee increase, right? They don't do that. So you really sort of have to extract that from them in a unique way that convinces the insurance company to give you that increase. So building leverage, Naren, is extremely difficult for dental practices.
Thank you, Ben. I understand this could be a pretty interesting long conversation you have with your clients or potential clients, right? And I assume you help them with this. One of the things that most doctors start with is the expertise they have. Hey, I have this education, I have this qualification, and they say, okay, because I have all these extra things, I am worth more. I am special, right? They use that as their leverage. Does that work with insurance companies?
Another excellent question, and I have somewhat of an excellent answer, hopefully, to give you. I guess you have to look at how insurance companies operate now. And the key question that you have to ask to answer that question that you just asked, Naren, is do insurance companies care about quality now, right? When they deal with, in terms of how they treat you? And the quick answer is absolutely not. It's not about quality dentistry for the insurance company. It's about how to pay fewer and fewer claims, right? Or how to not pay claims in most situations. So doctors tend to use this argument quite a bit where they say, I have great quality, I have all this training, I've been SPEAR educated or Hanke educated, whatever it may be. And from the insurance perspective, they're saying, well, everybody uses that argument. So, in terms of them responding to that, it's like, well, Dr. So-and-so and Dr. So-and-so who's right next door to you, they use that exact same argument, but as an insurance company, we don't have a way to measure quality, right? The only thing that they have to measure is utilization and what they pay out to dental practices. So I would say in terms of using that quality care argument, you have to be a lot more creative than that, or at least have some data to prove that your type of dentistry is designed to reduce claims payout over time, right? Which that information is totally subjective, right? Where a doctor may have a set of procedures that they do that's conservative, but when you're looking at it from the grand scheme of things, yes, it's a benefit to the insurance company that your quality does have less claims payout on average. But that is almost always insufficient. You need a lot more than your quality dentistry arguments influence insurance companies to move the needle in your favor.
Right. And unfortunately, they don't care about quality, right? For them, dentistry is a commodity. I'm talking about the insurance company. So
that's right.
So of course, in a commodity, everything is good enough. Nothing is great, right? So
right.
Thank you for shedding that light. So you're saying don't waste your breath trying to tell them, about quality, because they're just going to not take it seriously because they don't care.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and which is one of the reasons why over the long term they might want to get rid of this insurance menace and not be dependent on them, right? But it could be like a transition strategy as you go through it.
That's right.
Are there laws that work in favor of dentists when attempting to negotiate fees? Sometimes when you're dealing with a billion-dollar company, you need laws on your side. Otherwise, they'll just roll all over you.
Exactly right. So the laws sort of help create this fairness, right? Antitrust here in the United States was created to sort of allow for ease of competition, right? And let the invisible hand of the market dictate pricing. Well, basically allow the consumers to dictate pricing, but when it comes to dentistry, when you're negotiating fees, these same antitrust laws are designed to lower fees, to make it more affordable for people, right? Make it less expensive. But the challenge is that dentistry is not cheap in the United States. Wages aren't cheap, right? Materials and supplies aren't cheap. So naturally, when you look at healthcare in general, it's very, very expensive because you have all these different factors that determine pricing. But the laws that sort of help doctors negotiate in any aspect of medicine within the antitrust laws are called restraint and trade. So the antitrust laws, insurance companies are exempt from enforcement of antitrust. Not all antitrust, but a lot of the antitrust provisions, insurance companies are exempt from enforcement, except for discrimination, the restraint and trade, right? And an example of that, Naren, is if a doctor next door has a higher Delta dental fee schedule or higher Cigna or Blue Cross, and the way you discover this is that when a patient of that practice comes to you, and they bring in a copy of the EOB or a treatment plan that discloses all the financials, or at least the fees that the patient would pay. Keep in mind, if a patient brings that in, you're not violating the law, right? The patient is looking for a second opinion, and you're obligated to review as much as you can in terms of what the patient is bringing in to honor the patient's wishes. And so therefore, you haven't broken any laws. But in reviewing the treatment plan, if every single code for that insurance company is priced out higher in the office next door, that's one example of restraint and trade. That's discrimination. The insurance company essentially has to answer the question, what makes that doctor better than me in terms of favoring that doctor with a higher fee? And I can take that right back to the insurance company and said, I'm sure you're aware, antitrust does have a restraint and trade that prohibits this type of fee discrimination, right? So that's one major piece of leverage that doctors come by almost every day when they have patients come in with second opinions, is you need to pay attention to that information, not just the clinical, but the financial components, especially if the patient has insurance, in an effort for you to find those things, right? And keep track of it, keep a record of it, and then of course, in the end, use it to negotiate, because that's a big point for negotiations, is just drawing out the line of discrimination, right? So that's one major law, Aaron. We can talk all day about the laws, but that's probably the biggest one that I can think of.
You're saying if for some reason that insurance company is paying somebody else more, then of course you can use it to your advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, an example is I had a husband and wife. Well, they separated, they're divorced, same last name, and they both practiced 1.5 miles away from each other. The husband got a higher fee schedule from the same insurance plan. And when the ex-wife found out about that, she threw a fit. She's like, this is total discrimination. So she retained us. And it didn't take long for us to draw out discrimination, saying, hey, look, I know how insurance companies work. The doctor feels discriminated against. I know you're going to make it right, so just make it right. And guess what? They made it right as an insurance company, right? Because there's no way out of that argument. She's a female, right?
Right.
And so she could come up with all kinds of things to embarrass this insurance company. But that took one email and boom, it was fixed overnight.
That's awesome. What about using the threat? I'm going to drop your dental plan. Would that help?
Good question. In this day and age, yes. But you have to be prepared for the insurance company not necessarily believing you, right? It's a game of poker. Before 2020, this argument did not work. Insurance companies, for the most part, even Delta, were very comfortable with the rate of participation, right, in network status by the doctors. But since 2020, there's been a massive wave of doctors dropping out of network, to where even the Deltas and the Blue Crosses and the United Concordias of the world, I mean, all of them, MetLife's, Aetna's, Cigna's, they are all thinking twice about letting doctors so easily leave the network, right, and go out of network. It's kind of like when you call to cancel your cell phone or your cable subscription, where you get sent to a retention department, right?
Right.
Where those departments are designed to retain you as a customer. Insurance companies also have retention departments as well to retain doctors. So in this day and age, it doesn't work all the time to terminate a contract to get a fee increase, but it does work. I'd say the majority of the time, you'll be routed to a supervisor that will help the practice negotiate fees in an effort to keep that doctor's status under in-network terms. So if you think you want to give it a try, just know that there are some risks, because if you're not prepared, and let's say the insurance company says, yeah, go ahead and go out of network, at that point, you don't want to show the insurance companies your cards. Otherwise, you'd lose out on future negotiations because they know how you operate. But you just have to be fully prepared for out of network in the event that you're sort of forced into that position. But yeah, before trying it, just carefully consider it, because there are some risks.
I think this is where an expert like you is so advantageous, because you know when to use that card or when not to use that card, right? Depending on how strong your hand is.
Absolutely.
With the insurance company. It sounds like building leverage, may be one of those individual things where one will need to really be creative in finding an effective and powerful negotiating argument. Mm-hmm. How can a dentist learn more about what leverage they need to build that fits their unique situation?
Absolutely. And thanks for asking that question. In dental practices, doctors wear so many hats, right? They're the chief clinician, they're the CEO of the business, they're the accountant, they do everything, right? Mostly everything as a business owner. You can easily get caught up in the mundane aspects of administration, where even something like this, building leverage, might be too difficult just to sit down and brainstorm, right? Give me a call, reach out to us, and be happy to assess your situation and help you find unique components. We do something like a new patient exam, where we interview doctors and gather information about their practice for the sole purpose of identifying negotiating opportunities, which leverage is probably the number one on that list. And so if you give us a call or reach out to our company, we'd be more than happy to assess your situation, complimentary, of course, and help you at least put together a plan of action or a treatment plan that outlines specific areas in which you're entitled, or at least you're able to negotiate based upon what leverage we can help you create. So to schedule something like that, feel free just to reach out to our office directly. You can visit our website, veritasdentalresources.com, or give us a call. Our number is 888-808-4513.
Thank you so much, Ben. I learned a ton from you. As always, you are an expert in this topic, and you know more than what. I think you forgot more than what people know. So, so you know a ton. So if you are interested in having an advantage when you're dealing with insurance company, I really think you should at least have a conversation with Ben, because he knows a ton and he can definitely be helpful. So thank you, Ben, for everything you do for the community, and thank you, Ben, for everything you're doing in our journal. So I really appreciate you. I also want to take a minute to thank our listeners who have been awesome. Every week we are having a record week. So if you are not already done this, please leave a review for us on iTunes and YouTube, and subscribe, so that way you're automatically notified. If you are a dental speaker or a leader in a dental organization, don't forget to also check out ridexperts.org. Till we meet again, I'm your host, Naren Arulraja.